everybody, and welcome. We are here at the round table I can't talk. Every other month, we have the BioCare folks joining us here at a round table where you can participate, ask your questions, and we're going to be doing a slightly abbreviated version tonight, but we're going to be talking about some really interesting stuff and stuff that you're going to want to know, going through the holidays. Because I know for me, I joke around sometimes with friends, family, the wife, and I say, look, after a certain date, when we get close to like Thanksgiving here in the United States, and then you have Christmas and you have New Year's, I kind of throw dieting stuff out the window because people are offering you all kinds of cookies and cakes and candies and brownies and all this yummy stuff, and ultimately what happens? You wind up putting on a lot of weight that you then have to go to the health club to take off. And so what is it that you can eat through this holiday season that's not going to make you blow up, put on a lot of pounds, eat healthier, and really enjoy what you're eating? That's one of the things that we're going to be looking at tonight, and it's something where over the last couple of years, I I don't go crazy with it, but if I have an extra cookie, I have an extra cookie. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I do watch what I eat. I watch the labels. I'm careful not to eat any GMO and stuff like that. I try to avoid that as much as I can. Try to go as much organic as possible, and seeing really great results. Folks, you're watching the BioCare Hospital Roundtable. We're here, like I said, every other month. We have 4 doctors here with us tonight. If you're watching us on Twitch, watching us on YouTube, or on our live Facebook feed, what you can do is you can type in questions in the chat, and if you have questions that you want asked, that's a good way you can do it. We're live. We're here. Let's see, this is what date is this? It says, it's the 18th. We're at 6:30 in the evening on the East Coast. And folks, if you're here watching us live, hey, let us know what's on your mind. We will be replaying this program too next Thursday. We'll be replaying it, and then we'll be replaying it on the weekends. So you can look around 1 o'clock in the afternoon around there, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be replaying this broadcast on the radio. So you can tune into the Truth Be Told Radio Network a number of different ways. Here, when we're recording shows live as they go out, you can also catch us, as you saw in the open, you can catch us on any smart speaker in the world. There's over 5 billion smart devices on the planet, folks. That includes things like smartphone, like an Android phone, like what I have in my hand, but also it includes all the smart speakers. The same exact technology that's in your smartphone for like the Google Assistant or Siri that's built into your phone or built into the HomePod powers those devices, and all you have to do is say, Alexa, hey Google, or Siri, say the name of the network, and you're listening to the radio network. Dr. Rodriguez hosts a show every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. and Friday nights at 7 p.m. for the BioCare Hospital. You really want to tune in and listen to that. It's a great show, gives you a lot of great health information. And folks, it's really guys, it's great to have you here again. Let me get you guys up on the screen, and want to start with you, Dr. Rodriguez, and say hello, and how are you?
I'm doing very well, and I just love your introduction because it gives me a lot of space to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yes,
which is,
yes.
what are we going to eat on the holidays?
Yes. And it's important, isn't it? Because I know, like what I said in my opening comments, you have the ability to put on a lot of weight over the holidays.
Absolutely. But
yeah.
Through your exposition, you just touch on all the things that shouldn't be in your holiday table. Cookies, sweets, refined sugar, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want you to do is want you to reflect a little bit of what is, to me, there's nothing more American than our Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
So when you take a very good look, when you do a little bit of historic analysis, when you review what should be at your table when during Thanksgiving, you're going to see that nothing of the things you mentioned are normally there. Uh, Sweets are not there. All you can say is you can talk about sweet potatoes and things like
Yeah.
that, but not really sugar. Uh, pears, pears because they are very important in this time of the year. Pears have their own sweetness, but they don't have sugar in it. So
Yes.
we have to go back to the drawing board and take a very good look at what goes on this Thanksgiving table. And you're going to find a lot of fiber because you're going to probably have spinach or string beans or what about Brussels sprouts? You see, that are you going to cook in different ways. You're going to have a very nice salad, of course. You're going to have, I already mentioned, potatoes or sweet potatoes.
Yes.
You're going to have some bread, but just some bread, and of course the turkey, which is the star. The other things are again fruits like cranberries. So on, I have not mentioned one thing that has sugar in it. You see, so if
Yeah.
you're going to have a healthy holiday season, not only Thanksgiving or Christmas and everything, make it real. Make it real. Thanksgiving is a time to thank God for everything we have done and achieved. And I mean, in this time and age, just being here is something we have to thank God for. But the most important thing is we have to do it obediently. In other words,
Yes.
reflect on what foods we should have for Thanksgiving. Remember that Thanksgiving began as a tradition when people started getting together uh, to thank God for the crops and the end of the harvest season and so forth. But they ate what they had in hand, and they didn't have white flour, they didn't have sugar, they didn't have any of this stuff. So they cooked very well. So what I wanted to do is open a book, look for real uh, holiday season scenery, and you're going to see that you have very good foods, lots of fiber, very good fruits, lots of vitamins, trace minerals, everything you need. And the smallest portion of the whole table is actually the turkey. Is the one
Hmm.
that has the most visual appeal. But think of your plate. You say, I want some turkey, or of course, I want cranberry, I want sweet potato, I want mashed potatoes, I want my salad, at the end, even the turkey becomes secondary to all the vegetables and all the good things that we should have on our plate. There's another good, very important situation here. There's nothing more seasonal than Thanksgiving in
Hmm.
terms of food. We eat what's in season. And this is something that we have completely forgotten. We eat what we like. And that might be mangoes in Alaska in January. And
Yeah.
because of the distribution chains, we can have whatever we want any time of the year. But this is actually a holiday where we reflect on the foods we were able to grow and to harvest toward the end of the year. So we have all these good products like even corn and other things like this that are going to give us the season. The foods of the season are going to be fresh foods because we're picking them up in this time of the year. They're not frozen. They're not coming from Thailand or Chile or
Yeah.
God knows where. These are local foods,
Yeah.
local, seasonal, fresh foods in just the perfect balance. So
Yes.
make no mistake, a good Thanksgiving, a good Christmas, a good New Year's should have all these things into consideration. I know you will not, if you go to the gym afterwards, it's because you want to look better, but not because you have put in your body things should never be there in the first place.
Exactly. Yes. And it's one thing I know with my family. they put out a lot of the treats and things, and so you have to use a lot more self control. So it's something that I've just noticed over the holidays. So what I'd like to do is go to Dr. Vasquez, and I know, Doctor, you wanted to talk about stem cells. And I know there's been a lot of talk about that up here in the United States, and a lot about the therapy. What would you like to share with us tonight?
Well, what Dr. Rodriguez just mentioned is very important. We're talking about having a perfect diet with the purpose to avoid, the excess of the junk foods and those things that eventually can cause
Yeah.
us a lot of problems, especially inflammation. So here, what we want to say with the stem cell therapy, that is a program that indeed uh, help balance the immune system, reduce the inflammation, and modulate your organs to produce healthy cells again. So let's say we have patients that will require stem cells, especially patients dealing with chronic degenerative diseases
Hmm.
such as diabetes, neurological, multiple sclerosis, patients with stroke that wants to recover.
Yeah.
Definitely, stem cell therapy is the program to recommend because what I said before can help reduce inflammatory reaction in your body and help you to produce healthy cells again, especially on those patients who are having the their diagnosis established, or actually when we have uh, preventive purposes, when we have that we are pre-diabetics or we're having borderline high blood pressure, definitely I would recommend this.
Yeah.
Just to mention, the stem cell therapy can be obtained from three main sources: peripheral blood, from fatty tissue, and from bone marrow.
Now, I've heard that you can really do some wonders with rebuilding parts of the human body with stem cells. Is that true?
It is correct. The stem cell therapy can do wonders, and I'm a witness of a tremendous recovery from the therapy. But of course, every patient is unique and different, and responses may vary patient to patient.
Hmm. What are some of the more popular things to do, or the most common things that people do with stem cell surgery? What parts of the body get focused on the most?
Well, actually, we are focusing in patients who are at the brink to have surgery, especially in those patients with uh, degenerative process in the knees or the spine. Usually, we can even inject directly as well intravenously directly in damaged uh, joints and expect good recovery from the therapy.
Wow. So, someone like me that has a lot of pain in the knees at times, or where it sounds like it's clicking sometimes and it can be painful, something like this would help.
Yes, but we have to remember first that we have to study you as a whole body. For example, recommend to reduce your weight,
Hmm.
eat better, do some good physical activity without too much stress on that damaged joint. These little things can help you as well for stem cell therapy.
Excellent. And one thing that I'm looking at also is my dad. He had colon cancer um, years ago, and they caught it really by accident because he was basically a bit of a hypochondriac. And the background for this, doctors, is because he had a lung removed from lung cancer. He just didn't really feel like he was feeling all that well. They checked him out and they removed 6 inches of his colon, and it saved his life. It was really quite amazing. So, Dr. Ortega, I was, opening that up to come to you to talk about this, and what are some of the treatments available there at the hospital concerning this disease?
Well, there's a treatment that we do for cancer patients. As Dr. Vasquez said, we need to study the body as a whole. But well, we start with diet, which is
Yeah.
very important. Uh, a bad diet will influence and to a chronic inflammation and develop some kind of cancer. So here in the hospital, we will initiate with a different type of diet, beginning with a lot of fruits and vegetables and not having red meat.
Yes.
Uh, Another treatment that we do here with the patients is that we boost up their immune system. So we detoxify or cleanse their body from any toxins that may be having at a time to also complement the the diet that they're having. And well, it's a change of habits that we talk to the patients they might do to build up a better body to attack the cancer.
Okay. And what makes colon cancer so deadly? What makes it, such a killer?
Well, because it's not just the colon cancer, but it's about cancer in specific that we talk, that it represents a different diseases that affect different organs. In this
Yeah.
case, well, the colon cancer will begin in the large intestine, but what it makes it more common is that these healthy cells develop or change their DNA, and usually some of the risk is because of things that are in the ambient or the lifestyle that we do, such as diet. So that's why it's very common. 90% of the things that we do can be modified to prevent colon cancer, like doing physical activity, avoid fat food, most of them from animal fat,
Okay.
uh, alcohol, tobacco consumption. Those are things that we can modify, but that we do as a daily basis and will increase the risk of getting colon cancer.
It's funny you mentioned the thing with alcohol, because I did notice that people who drank heavily that I've known, a lot of them did wind up getting colon cancer. And so there's a direct connection between the two.
Well, there are alterations of genetic mechanisms that
Yeah.
increasing the intake of alcohol will modify the cells and
Hmm.
will lead us to uncontrolled or spread or growth of these cells that will um, lead us to colon cancer. And then if we add that we have also genetic risk factors, then when we're adding up this, well, the cause of uh, having colon cancer.
So what does BioCare Hospital do that's different than, say, hospitals in the United States at treating things like colon cancer?
Well, the different things that we do is that we speak to the patients directly. We tell them what things
Hmm.
they need to do and not just do it. We all as a all the staff here are in close relationship. So we speak to the kitchen to tell them what kind of diet they should be having. So the patient gets used to that diet that we are giving them to them. We also have treadmill. We have like a exercise salon where they can do or perform exercise. So that's something that we lead the patients to do activities that probably at home they don't do, or we have our nutritionist that we he also speaks to them about what to eat, not to eat, and of course the treatment that we do in the hospital that will also get very close to what they have and what to do next.
That's excellent. And Dr. Romero, I wanted to speak with you briefly. And, there's a lot of talk that I've heard about chronic inflammation and inflammation in general. How important is that? Because what I've read and been exposed to over the years is that this is something that is really, really important in regards to your health. And I've heard statements even that they can trace like almost like anything that's wrong with the human body to tracing it back to inflammation. Is that true?
Uh, yes, Actually, every response of the body against any aggression, any type of aggression, how the body responds with inflammation. When I was studying in school medicine, I learned that the first response of the body against anything was with inflammation.
Yes.
Uh, and it, but lately in the last years, it's been a puzzle to me to know and to find out and to see that the aging process needs and represents chronic and low grade inflammation without having an infection, without having an actual disease. We're inflamed all the time
Hmm.
in low grade, obviously, because crisis of inflammation equals a certain diseases. But the aging process involves chronic and low grade inflammation. So my idea of helping a patient to in preventive medicine is to inform the patient how he can live or
Yeah.
outlive this inflammatory process, low grade process in their daily routine, in their daily lives, and interest. It's very interesting to find out where that inflammation comes from. And of course, there's theories. There's theories behind the aging process. One theory speaks about how aging is programmed. So aging is programmed, and the second theory speaks about aging as a result of accumulation of damage.
Hmm.
In there, in the accumulation, I believe in that one. In the accumulation of damage. Why?
Yes.
Most of my medical work throughout the years has been related to programs of detoxification, programs changing lifestyle to enhance the organic or to produce an internal rejuvenation. And actually, I have I know that I'm not so far away from that idea that detoxification and changes in lifestyle will promote a decrease in that chronic and low grade inflammation that equals the aging process.
Hmm.
And when I see a patient that is overweight, that has increased increased fatty deposits anywhere in the body,
Yeah.
but mostly in the abdominal area. So when I see that patient, I see a person that's aging or that is going to age rapidly and that is going to develop a disease early in life just because of that excess of fatty tissue, because the fatty tissue produces inflammatory factors. Here in the in our programs recommended here in the hospital, we always start with a blood report, a blood test, multiple blood tests. And among those blood tests are we have a certain panel of inflammatory markers. And those inflammatory markers are about, I don't know, five, six, or eight different markers.
Hmm.
But those eight different markers are just a small part of a wide universe
Yeah.
of markers that exist that can be done in every patient. But we use like the most common ones. And most of those markers will be off on a lot of the patients that we see. And
Interesting.
then that's very interesting. And in some of those patients, and most of those patients, or a lot of them, have no diagnosis, have no definite disease name of the problem. And so, what does this tell you? That definitely chronic and low grade
Yes.
inflammation exists in everybody, in each one of us. And there are things that we can do to not eliminate it completely, because there's always going to be some of that in our
Hmm.
system, because we're living, we breathe, we eat, and we produce a lot of garbage. And I always tell the patients, there's a lot of the detoxification process in our program involves eliminating that garbage. Did you know that we, as humans, and everybody, every living creature, uh, produces or develops cells that, or all of our cells stop um, reproducing inside our system? An example, our skin cells are constantly changing. They
Yeah.
fall and they rejuvenate and they grow back again. Well, as we age, some of those cells, a lot of those cells in our skin, I'm giving that example because we can see it,
Hmm.
they just stay there. They just do nothing. And that is the garbage that produces aging. The same thing happens with the liver cells, with intestinal cells, with kidney, with heart, cells that no longer regenerate, no longer reproduce. So they just stay there. So that's, if we had a marvelous drug, a miracle drug that could eliminate those senescent cells, senescent, that's the name they receive, those senescent cells, we would discover the eternal fountain of youth. Because those cells that no longer work, they just stay there. They are the source of that chronic, among other things, the chronic inflammation of aging, and they
Okay.
can be the source of cancer, of diabetes, of heart disease, you name it, of Alzheimer's. So there are certain supplements and drugs that are being studied right now to to eliminate those senescent cells. And I'm going to give you a tip. Things that you can start taking, so you can eat whatever you want in Thanksgiving. Uh,
Yeah.
get, a, get a bottle of quercetin or bioflavonoids and start taking it 3 times a day, and
Okay.
take it forever. And will really produce a great benefit in the way that you feel. Not immediately, but it will help us, uh, uh, not to.
And it looks like she dropped out of the call. Maybe we'll get her back. But one thing I'd like to ask you is, Noli, you're on the
Yes,
screen right now, and I have this question for you and for all the doctors, and that is, do you treat people that come to your hospital from many different countries, correct?
correct.
So do you find that there's things that people suffer in one country more than another, things that are more unique to one country than another, say people from the US versus say people from Russia or something like that, where you see things more common with people from one country rather than from somewhere else?
Yes, and of course, I think is because their culture, their what they do daily. So we talk about again about chronic inflammation, what we eat, what we do
Yeah.
every day. But in comparison, we can see that well, people that migrate, for example, from the U.S. to another country, such as where they have Mediterranean diet,
Hmm.
uh, their level or the risk of factor of developing certain diseases will drop,
Will drop.
even though they
Interesting.
have genetic factors of having that certain disease. uh, Depending on what they do or their lifestyle changes, some of those diseases will decrease.
Interesting. And I have the same question for Dr. Vasquez. Do you see, certain things happen with certain people from various countries where it's more common than in others?
Absolutely. Uh, in special, I used to see a lot of patients, and this is not a country. This is just United States. I'm seeing a lot of Amish patients, and they're getting more uh, old. They develop more degenerative diseases because the hard work they have. And sometimes we think, oh, they live in a very a rural area where they can have fresh foods, those things.
Hmm.
But in their particular cases, I'm seeing that they're having a lot of problems with diabetes, uh, uh, mixed dyslipidemias. That means high cholesterol, high triglycerides,
Wow.
and this is because they lack of the knowledge or balance their foods. Okay, they have everything available, but sometimes they use a lot of sweet products. They use a lot of raw sugar that definitely are producing a lot of the degenerative process in their body.
Hmm. That's fascinating because I wouldn't think of the Amish as having like any kind of degenerative problems. When I think, maybe it's just me, but I think of the Amish, I think of people that are living a much more wholesome life than I am in the terms of what they're eating. I figured they'd be eating more stuff that's not GMO and things along those lines. It's very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so same question for Dr. Rodriguez. You had the hospital, you founded it. What do you see for for the people that come there from all over the world? What types of issues and things? How does the hospital deal with that? What's the approach?
Well, definitely. This is an absolute truth. Uh, the pathologies, the type of diseases that we see in people, vary according from one part of the world to another part.
Yes.
And as Dr. Vasquez was saying, even from some areas of the United States to different areas. Some studies say, for example, that the state of Colorado has one of the best lifestyles in America, and
Right.
that's interesting. But when when you think about the places that have healthier lifestyles, you cannot skip to think of the Mediterranean diet. And the
Yes.
Mediterranean diet is, abundance of vegetables, tomato, fish, omega threes,
Mhm.
uh, and the magic substance of the Mediterranean diet, which is the olive oil.
Okay.
The olive oil is something that's fantastic. In Spain, they are doing very important studies in which they give the patient 1 ounce a day of virgin oil,
Hmm.
of
And
olive
just drinking it?
virgin oil. Just drinking it, just a shot.
Huh.
Like if it were something, a shot of something else, just get 1 ounce of olive oil every day. But olive oil definitely is a very special type of oil. It's a very special type of fatty acid that's very anti inflammatory. I mean, we're talking on one hand that inflammation is one of the major sources of our problems. What about taking something that's anti inflammatory?
Right.
What is that? That is probably first and foremost olive oil. What are other factors? Fruits and vegetables, particularly if you don't cook them.
Hmm.
And I'm going to give you something that probably you did when you were a child that we don't do anymore. Is we're talking about cookies and candies and so forth. When is the last time you gave any child an orange, a
Hmm.
full orange? What happens when you give anybody a full orange? What you do is normally you peel it with your hands.
Yes.
And as you peel it with your hands, there's this oil that gets into your finger, which contains a lot of biotin. And then you take the orange and then you grab the wedges that's enveloped in this white substance in this fine cuticle that covers the wedge, and you eat it all.
Hmm.
That substance is very anti-inflammatory. Actually, there are now pharmaceutical products being developed using that part, that white part of the rind of the orange. But children used to do it all the time. I mean, you used to go and be playing. You went home. You didn't grab a cookie. You didn't have a sugar thing. You grabbed an orange. Or what about an apple? Remember that an
Yeah.
orange, that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, let me tell you,
Yes.
3 apples a day will give you all the fiber your body needs in 24 hours. So I tell people, why don't you have an apple 3 times a day? Have one with breakfast, have one with lunch, have one before you go to bed. And you're giving your body a great service. You're working very anti-inflammatory, and you are. It's just going back. You see, it's going back. Uh, I was in some of the recent programs that I have done with Truth Be Told Radio Network. I was
Yes.
asking people, when is the last time you had a 5 o'clock dinner?
Hmm.
No, we now eat later and later. What happens that when we eat very late, that we put calories in a moment of the day and night where we do not need them, because as darkness comes to us, we start yawning, we start feeling sleepy. That's because of melatonin. But as
Uh,
melatonin starts to build up in the body to make us sleep, there the body is going to release uh, fats and carbohydrates, because you're going to go to sleep, but your body is going to be very active. Your body is going to
mhm.
be restoring, healing, reprogramming, uh, making things be ready for the following day. I was talking today with Dr. Romero in talking about the Grand Prix and all these Formula One races, and we were making the analogy of if you're running on a Formula One uh, race, you cannot just get on that uh,
Car.
car and run indefinitely.
Mhm.
What you do is every now and then you go to the pit where they
Yeah.
check the tires, where they check the lubricant, where they. That's what happens with sleep. Every time we go to sleep, our body starts restoring, fixing, putting things back together, creating hormones, creating immune components. In other words, being healthy. But what we are doing in this time and age, because we have electricity, nobody cares what time of the day it is. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to ask. It used to be that I remember my grandmother, she never wore a watch and she knew what time it was because they were more attentive to the environment. We don't do it anymore. And then you say, I look sometimes at patients and I'm talking to them and they say, well, I don't feel well because I went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. There was this movie that was fantastic. Yeah, but night was to sleep. And that sleep time is precious. It is one of the wonderful things that tells me that our Creator was very wise, because He gave us a body that can work and do and function. And at night, everything is going to be fixed and reset and get ready for the following day. So, all these things are things that we have to think when we're talking about health. And what do we do many times at the hospital is use that as a foundation. Don't try to create health when you have a lot of problems. So start fixing those problems, and then you go to different therapies to fight, for example, cancer, to fight degeneration in the joints, to fight all the problems that we have produced because wear and tear of the body. And then is when we are going to start with definite therapies for distinct problems.
Yeah, it's excellent. What would people need to know from, say, the United States as far as how they would actually be able to go to your facility to receive care? How would they go about doing that?
Okay, it's very simple. We have an 800 number. We are in the social media of your choice. We are with Truth Be Told Radio Network every Friday night, Eastern Standard Time, every Saturday the rerun. But then if you missed any of the programs, which I would really wholeheartedly recommend anybody to listen to some of them, to share them with people around you, because we really speak from the bottom of our heart. And but you can get all this information and then say, okay, I think I should do something. The first thing you have is you can call me. You can call any of the doctors. You can send an email. You can ask on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Ask anything. You will not be charged. There's no strings attached. You just can say, you know what? The doctor told me this, or I'm afraid of that. And we're going to answer within 24 hours and tell you what we think. And if need be, we're going to call you, or you call us. That's our job. See, I have many patients that tell me, doctor, can I take some of your time? Of course, you're not taking my time. I'm giving it to you. I became a doctor because I wanted to help you. So
Yeah.
I will be very happy to talk to you. So all the doctors, we see every patient every day. And if there's any need, twice or three times a day. But we're shoulder to shoulder. We're going to show you how to do these things. And when you make that call, when you get that email, when you contact us in any of the social media, we're going to give you everything you have to know in how you can come to a hospital. Patients normally fly into San Diego Airport, which is very simple, and the hospital is only 17 miles from that airport. So it's a 20-minute ride.
Yeah.
We're across the border. Nevertheless, we're within, literally, walking distance of the border. So it's very simple for anyone to come. We work 24/7. We are going to be with you, planning every step of the way. And I have patients that tell me, you know what, doctor, I got tested in a way it would have taken me a month back home, but here you did everything rapidly.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're waiting for you. And the minute we start, we start.
Interesting. What would be as far as insurances go and things of that nature? If people are thinking, well, if I go outside my country or outside my network or whatever, do you take most insurances? I think most people would want to know that.
That is a very important question. And the answer is yes, we work with insurance companies. However, because we're across the border, we normally ask for a deposit amount. And then we file for insurance. I could tell you that in 80% of people that have private insurance, the insurance is going to reimburse them. What happens is if your insurance is a government-sponsored plan, like Medicare, for example, it will not cover any service if you're not within the US borders.
Mm-hmm.
So bear that in mind. But even for that, you can call us and tell me, this is my insurance company, this is the type of insurance that I have. Now, don't believe what they tell you. You contact us, we contact the insurance company, we make an inquiry for you, and then we're going to tell you, you know what, your insurance company is going to honor your bill because your plan has that into consideration. So don't think about it. And many times we get our lives very complicated because we do not ask questions. But when we ask the question, we're going to get an answer. But unless you ask, nobody is going to answer you anything.
That's interesting. Now, for all of you, How much do you guys work together with the patients? Do you get assigned out to one particular patient and you're working, like say for example, Dr. Vasquez, if I was a patient there, would I be like assigned to you, or would the entire staff of doctors, would they all be waiting on looking at whatever was going on with me as a patient? Which way would that work?
Usually, we can handle any type of patient. We don't have like, oh, I have to see this kind of patient, or Dr. Romero, this kind of patient, because we are a small number of physicians. So we cannot just rely on, or let's say, on some specific group of diseases just to treat our patients. So we're capable to treat most of the conditions we have to face here.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you would say you had a patient with, you're dealing with inflammation. You'd be working with one of the other doctors, with that, and this would be a team effort with every patient.
Yes, absolutely. We work, or we discuss a case with, for example, with Dr. Arteaga or with Dr. Rodriguez. Say, hey,
Yeah,
doctor, I have this patient, and what are your input in this type of a condition? Because this, and that. So he usually assess me or Dr. Romero as well. So we work as a team.
excellent. And Dr. Romero, whoops, let me add you back to this. I took you out of the stream accidentally. And what would you say is one of your favorite things that you do during your workday there at the hospital?
My favorite things.
Yeah, one of your
Uh,
favorite things that happens at the hospital every day that maybe is unique to your hospital, maybe like
I
nowhere
think it's
else.
I think it's lunchtime.
Lunchtime, huh? Why is that?
Because we that's when we speak about what happens in the hospital.
Mhm.
We talk about our patients, and it's just fun to to
And the food.
to to chat with everybody, with all the doctors.
Mhm.
And
And
doctor, I take it. What's your favorite thing about working at this hospital?
Well, I like to talk a lot with the patients. Every patient that I be in touch with is different. They have their own knowledge about things. Dr. Vasquez was speaking before about having a lot of Amish patients. So they
Yeah,
have their culture, they have their things they know or they do not know. So I like to assess them in some subjects or topics that they don't know or they lack of information, and getting them with a smile or leaving the hospital better than when they got here. I think that's the best part.
Mhm.
and is lunchtime one of your favorite times of the day too?
Well, I get to meet the other doctors and we can discuss about hospital things, and also having a portion of salad. It's also good.
You know
Excellent.
what? Uh,
Go ahead.
uh, I'd like to tell you something very important about lunchtime. Uh,
Okay.
Lunchtime is not only lunchtime. We sit together, and then we have the chance to say hello, to talk to each other, to discuss things. Sometimes we invite other doctors, and not in the staff, but let's say an oncologist or a lung specialist, an internist. We invite
Yeah.
other doctors to talk about certain subjects. But probably to me, the most important thing is that the food we eat is prepared by our own kitchen.
Right.
In other words, what we're going to do is we're going to sit for lunch and they're going to serve us a lot of the food that the patients will actually eat for lunch that day.
Hmm.
So you have the opportunity to go back to the kitchen and say, you know what, I'd like to mix this better this way or the other, or I'd like the salad dressing to be a little bit less acidic, or I think this bread should be richer if we just do this or the other. We cook everything from scratch.
Right.
We have our own baker. So all the foods that we prepare have a personal input. So we know what our patients eat
Wow.
and so on. And you were saying something about your best time in the hospital.
Hmm.
Actually, my best time in the hospital is very rewarding. Like today, for example, I had a long time patient with tons of problems. She's an Amish gal that has been under the care of Dr. Vasquez for a long time,
Hmm.
and she was coming down and getting out of it, and then she would get worse and so on for a long period of time. And she came to the hospital, I lost count how many times. But today she sat with me and she said, I think now this is paying. My energy level is completely different. For the first time, I'm able to do this and the other and so forth. But the most important thing was her smile, the way she felt. And then she says, I had to let you know. I had to tell you because she said, gratitude is not what I feel, it's a lot more than that. But I'm very happy I came. I'm very happy I continue with my treatment. I'm very happy I didn't give up, and things gradually were improving and improving and improving. And
Yes.
I have so many stories like that. So many people that came in a very bad condition,
Hmm.
that leave the hospital smiling, happy, thanking everybody, hugging the staff, hugging the people that cleaned the room or the people that brought the food tray. In other words, then is when you feel you're doing a good job. Then is when you feel you're actually serving the people that you're asking to come your way. And I'm very confident that when people come to the hospital, they're going to be very happy they did. We have testimonials, you name it. Just tell me how many you need. Testimonials and videos and letters and thank you notes, etc. Because we can make a change. We're going to work with everybody 24/7. And we're going to work on the baseline, but we're going to work on the critical part of the diagnosis. And we're going to work against that cancer, and we're going to work against that inflammatory disease, and we're going to get against that whatever problem you came to me looking for help. And help you will find. Not only that, you will rediscover a lot of things and go home very happy. We have been here for almost 40 years.
Wow.
And 40 years tells you something that people trust us, that people, I have to say, they love us. Many people love us. And I have had people that came to the hospital, let's say 30 years ago, and now I'm looking at their children or even the grandchildren. And that really fills my heart because then you say, I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about something you call the tune-up, because we have a mutual friend. I know he goes to your hospital at least once a year, and he gets the quote tune-up, and he always tells me that he feels remarkably much better walking out than when he walked in.
Well, we call it sometimes a do-not. I have another friend that calls it the BioCare getaway. In other words,
Hmm.
give yourself the chance to be healthier.
Hmm.
Most of the time, we get sicker and sicker because the inflammation we have will continue to mount. The garbage Dr. Romero was talking about will continue to mount, and everything continues to complicate, and we never give the body the chance.
Hmm.
Our body knows what to do, our bodies know how to heal, our bodies know how to recover. They just need the chance and the tools. And when you engage in a biocare getaway, when you come to for that tune-up, you're going to be in our premises with a very controlled diet, with intravenous supplementation. I mean, people might not know, but mineral deficiency is the number one deficiency in America.
Hmm.
People might not know it, but if you look around and count heads around you, you're going to have you're going to find that probably half of them are bloated or constipated or have some sort of uh, pains in the abdomen or some sort of discomfort or gases. What does
Yeah.
that mean? That means a faulty intestinal flora. And it is
Mhm.
our intestinal flora a big part of what keeps us healthy. That's where the three apples a day come into action. But if you don't do anything, if you continue to live the way you want, if you continue to have your cookies and your soda pop and that type of thing, well, don't expect to get any better. But
Yeah.
when you do these things and you start eating at the hospital, that's why we have lunch at the hospital. And it is not a courtesy, it's an opportunity to have a meeting and to see what we're actually feeding our patients. But when you
Yes.
see what they eat, when you see our kitchen, my kitchen staff is three times the size of my pharmacy staff
Hmm.
because we cook everything from scratch. We prepare every salad. We prepare everything. And if when you're here, you tell me, doctor, wonderful food, but I don't eat broccoli. That's
Mhm.
okay. We're going to go a different way, but I want to make sure you eat what you have to eat and that you like it, that you're going to leave the hospital thinking this is wonderful food and healthy.
Yes.
That's one of the big messages. We can eat healthy, we can eat very palatable food, we just have to use our imagination. That's why we
Yes.
call it biocare. Care, the verb care implies a number of actions. It's not a passive verb. I cannot care for you if I do nothing. If
Mhm.
I care for you, I'm going to help you. I'm going to keep an eye on you. I'm going to be watchful. I'm going to ask you what you need. In other words, it implies proactiveness. And if I biocare my body, if I biocare my patients, I'm just going to follow them.
Yeah.
You see, for example, some patients tell me, doctor, but the guy in the kitchen says I didn't eat this because we have to know. Don't take it the wrong way. Every time we bring you a tray, when they pick it up, they check what you ate, what you didn't eat. And what you didn't eat, I want to know the reason. I want to know if you didn't like it, which is okay, we'll go a different way. Or I want to know if you couldn't eat anymore. I want to know how I can help you. You
Hmm.
see? So we check every step of the way. How you slept. Were you awake late at night? Did you have any pains or aches or anything like that? What do I have to do so you have a good night's sleep?
Yeah.
Change your mattress. I'll do it. Whatever I have to do because I want you to recuperate. And that's the BioCare getaway. And I have people that, uh, instead of taking a cruise, come to the hospital. And I love that. I have a husband and wife that celebrate their anniversary coming to the hospital for 10 days.
Wow.
And she says, I lose weight, I feel better, I function a lot better. So I tell my husband, take me to BioCare. Don't take me to any place where I'm going to get sick or hurt or damage my body. That's what we have to do. I mean, this body of ours, after all, was entrusted to us, and we should care for it. We should BioCare this body.
Yes. And Dr. Romero, wanted to come back to you shortly. I wanted to ask you one question here. What, in your opinion, in your field of expertise, is one thing that the average person could do that would greatly improve their health?
Exercise. Start walking, move. That can greatly increase your health by practicing, not practicing a specific exercise, but simple walking, just walk 20, 30 minutes every day or even every other day, and that will make a difference.
Very interesting. And Dr. Ortega, the same question. What's the one thing, speaking from your field of expertise, that a person could do to really improve their health?
Well, there's a lot of activities that we do that harms our cells or damage our
Yes.
cells. So if you're a smoker, quit smoking. If you cannot quit by once, just avoid smoking with non-smokers. Try to avoid that. Like Dr. Romero said, move. Why? To
Hmm.
decrease your fat tissue, decrease obesity, do more physical activity, increase the amount of fruit and vegetables that you eat. We've been telling you that along the program. Beneficial fruits and vegetables have a lot of compounds such as carotenes, flavonoids that will have vitamins that per- act like antioxidants in our body, such as vitamin C, vitamin B, vitamin E. So do that.
Excellent. And Dr. Vasquez, the same question. What is the one thing somebody could do, speaking from your field of expertise, that would greatly improve their health?
Your attitude is very important. You have to be convinced and positive that the therapy will work. We have patients very ill coming here, but they have the desire, the commitment to go ahead and defeat disease. So the attitude is very important. Your spirit, always, that is also a tremendous help for your immune system. And of
Yeah.
course, what already my colleagues said about exercise and supplementation, your body, doing enemas to help you detox, and the diet, of course.
Excellent. And, you know, while I stay with you, what I have found is with doctors and hospitals and things that I up here where I am is that it's almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're on a God, the word is escaping me, but it's like bam, bam, bam. You have a precious amount of time that you spend with a doctor. I mean, it's just one thing after another. It's like an assembly line almost. And if you get 3 minutes to talk to the doctor, that's like an eternity. And I can never, for myself, figure out how could a doctor figure out what's going on with my body, what's going on with me, spending so little time talking to me so I can tell them exactly what's happening, what's going on, to give them the details that I feel are important. And what I noticed from talking with you guys over the last, almost year, is that you guys actually spend a lot of time talking to your patients and getting to know them, and actually being able to find out what's going on with them, what's going on, what hurts, what doesn't hurt, what's the level of pain, habits maybe that somebody I could be doing that could be making things worse, and I would never know it, unless somebody told me. And I think that's really great. What are your thoughts on that? And anybody else that wants to jump in afterwards?
Well, first of all, there's a big difference between doctors in United States or other countries, and the difference between us. Unfortunately, most of the doctors in United States are seeing you as a number or a stage. Or he can Mr. Stage 4 colon cancer or this and that. And you have to go through this chemotherapy program. You have to go and have radiation. They don't care about too much about explaining things about your diet, how you can improve your odds by doing these little things that they don't consider important. But this is the big difference between us and them. So
Yes.
this is my point of view about this.
Anybody else want to add anything?
Well, I think we were teached. We learned medicine, and what we learned while we were studying was to treat the symptom, not the body as a whole.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's something that you learn throughout years of practice. But that's why it's not just in the United States. It's also in Mexico and in any country that you go. a doctor or most of the doctors, with exceptions, they will treat your symptom and that's it. You have
Yeah.
fever, take this for the fever, take this antibiotic for the infection, and bye bye.
Yeah.
And I think you need to do more than that as a
Yeah.
doctor.
It's interesting when I hear about treating the symptom. To me, that doesn't make any sense, and I have to relate it back to an old Henny Youngman joke. If you remember the old comedian, he would say, "I told my doctor it hurts when I do this," and the doctor says, "Don't do that." And then but it's like
That's
it's got
right.
to be more than not doing that. There's a reason why that hurts, but that's never being addressed. And
Yeah, you
that's what
said
I always find
something.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, you said something very wise when you said, okay, it's not that it hurts when I do this, but why does it hurt?
Yes.
That's one of the part that modern medicine is missing a lot, is not what is your problem, but where is it coming from? You see,
Hmm.
and that is important just for about everything, and for us as people too. Sometimes we have a problem, and that what we look for is for a pill. We don't wonder what did I do that produced me this problem. Probably if I change my way, uh, things are going to improve. So this is very, very key. The other part that's to me personally I have found is I always tell students, I teach at the University of Baja Medical School, and I always tell my students, if you listen carefully, every patient will tell you what the problem is. Just
Hmm.
listen to the patient. But if you see the patient and you see the lab work and so forth, and you don't talk to them, if you don't have a conversation, you're missing probably the most important information to have
Yeah.
not only a good diagnosis, but to have a good plan on how to address the problem. Just listen to the
Yes.
patient.
And what I'd like to do is, if you guys have any final thoughts, I'll start with Dr. Romero. What would you like for people to know before we go off the air tonight? What are some of your important thoughts that you'd like to get out to the viewers and listeners?
That it's important to listen to your body and to know that inflammation is part of aging. They go together hand by
Yeah.
hand, and that there are things that you can do to overcome that or to to survive with the two. The aging and inflammation. So
Yeah.
there are many things, and one of them is changing your lifestyle in all the areas: what you eat, what you breathe, the sleeping pattern, the physical activity. Those are very important, and to take an antioxidant. So that
Yes.
makes a difference. Uh-huh.
And Dr. Ortega, what are your final thoughts? Anything that you would like for the viewers and the listeners to take home with them?
Well, I would like to say that a disease is not usually specific, just one cause. It has a lot of causes or a lot of risk factors.
Hmm.
I told you before that 90% of the things that we do can be modified. If we modify these things, the diseases can drop. So try to hear your body, what it's telling you, and don't just silent that. And like we said, do not treat the symptom, but treat your body as a whole.
Exactly. Thank you. And Dr. Vasquez, any final thoughts? And and let's take it from there.
Yes, definitely. You have a question regarding your health. Please do not hesitate to give us a call. We don't charge for that. And the beginning of an answer starts with a question. So please have a second opinion with us.
Excellent. And finally, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, thank you once again for being on and having this much access to your hospital and to your doctors for people to be able to hear from and hear more about what happens at your facility. What are some of your final thoughts about your hospital and what people can
Not o-
find out about it?
Kevin, not only thoughts, but I have a gift. Every year for Thanksgiving, we published our menus
Oh,
for
wow.
Thanksgiving. And as you go through them, you're going to find what we cooked for Thanksgiving, like the Parker house rolls, Brussels sprout and apple salad. We're talking about the traditional cranberry sauce. Uh, Once again, you can see that we have butternut squash and leek soup. You see, we're talking about veggies. We're talking about garbanzo bean flatbread. In other words, Thanksgiving is not about sugars. It's
Yeah.
about good food. It's about the season. It's about the spirit. Now, anyone that wants a copy of this recipe uh, booklet is welcome to have it. All you have to do is request it. It's going to be shipped free of charge to anyone listening tonight that wants to contact you and ask for a copy. We will give
Excellent.
it to you at no cost to everyone that asks for it.
That's excellent. So, what's the best way that people can get in touch with you if I wanted to reach out to you, not only for that recipe book, but also for questions about the hospital?
Okay, uh, we have an 800 number, 701 7345. We have our website, biocarehospital.com. And we are on Facebook, like BioCare. We're on Instagram. We're in Twitter. You can either look BioCare or Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez and Truth Be Told Radio Network. So
And
just contact us, ask the question, because once you ask the question and you get an answer, that's the beginning of solving a problem, not before that. And just to show you how real food looks like, I
yes,
offer you this as a gift.
that's excellent. Send me one, will you? I want one.
Oh, Kevin, you will be the first one.
I'll be the first one. And hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us here again tonight. And for you guys here on camera, the doctors, for you, Dr. Rodriguez, have a very happy Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday of the whole year. It's just a lot of fun. It's a good time for you to be able to reflect about the things that are really important in life and to give your thanks to God and to say, hey, it's another day alive and thank you, and to just remember all the great things that are happening in life. I know there's a lot of negative out there, but it's a good time to be able to change the gears in your brain and to kind of get that adjusted. And so, folks, thank you so much. You can hear Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez on the BioCare Health Show, and that's every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then that show replays the following Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So be sure to check that out. It's a fantastic show. You get to learn a lot, and it's very entertaining. So, doctors, thank you. Have a very happy Thanksgiving, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank
Happy
you once
Thanksgiving
again.
to you and
We'll be
your wife.
talking again
Thank
in
you.
2 months. And
Bye.
thank you, and God bless you, and happy Thanksgiving. And everybody
Thank you.
watching, have a great night, and God bless. Bye bye.
God
God
bless.
bless.